You're watching Well Traveled Life with Jonathan and Jennifer. So if you've been following us, you know we started in Glasgow, made our way up the center of the country, and started the North Coast 500 in Inverness. Since Inverness, we have gone up to Invergordon, we've hit Brora, Wick, and are going to John Groats and Dunnet Head today, and we'll be headed on to Thurso next, and then back around. After Wick, we traveled on up around the coast and we went all the way to John Groats and over to Dunnet Head. And we want to talk about John Groats and Dunnet Head because they are spectacular and noteworthy.
Yeah.
And John Groats is considered to be the farthest north point in Scotland, but it's not. And by the time we got to John Groats, it was getting downright nasty. But I think that's pretty typical for John Groats. It's summertime. It's cliffs, it's this highest point in Scotland, and it's beautiful, but it was a little ferocious out there.
Yeah, it really was. It was, some of the days we were there, part of the time it was stormy, rain and wind. Other times clearer, but then we had a different kind of problem, and that is the phenomenon known as midges in Scotland, which are small gnat-like insects that really go at you. And what we discovered is that when it wasn't raining or real windy, when it was still, the midges would come out, and any part of your body that wasn't covered, you'd be, literally attacked by these midges. And to the point where, if we were in the middle of taking photographs or shooting video, or we were using our drone up there, we would just have to stop and run for cover. We put some spray on, that helped. But yeah, do not travel to northern Scotland or do the NC 500 without midge repellent or a net that you can
nets.
put over
We
yourself.
had nets that we put over our faces. And it helped our faces, but it was our hands, our arms, and they do have like a little bite to them. So it isn't like it's just a lot of little bugs, but they're in your ears, they're in your nose, they're everywhere.
And the next day, wherever they bit,
Midge marks.
you'll have little red bites, and they'll itch. So anyway, not to put too negative a spin on that, your best defense really is do it when it's windy or maybe a little breeze and the midges go and hide somewhere and you'll be all right. So
just east of John Groats is a road that will take you out to a lighthouse and the cliffs and stacks. You actually get a better view of these amazing cliffs and the islands out at sea here than you might from John Groats. And if you're coming anti-clockwise from up through Wick, then this is a great stop to make before you actually get into John Groats. We use this as an opportunity to do some sightseeing, maybe a little droning, and our one recommendation is come and do this, and our second recommendation is wear a midge net, because the midges and the mosquitoes out here are something else. No, I'm not showing off the drone. Take a look at those midges on my hand. You gotta get close.
but the coast up there, the rocky cliffs, it's like part of your vision of Scotland. It's just rugged, towering cliffs over the ocean, the waves breaking against the cliffs, and we really got some great footage.
We did. Keep an eye out for the varied bird life on the cliffs as well as on the water for seals, dolphins, mink, and killer whales, all who reside in this area. In every direction, you will get amazing views. Look down, Look up, look around. There are sheep, cliffs, big skies, islands, and those far off peninsulas. And don't miss the stacks. Those are, if you're looking at the lighthouse, those are off to your right. Don't miss the stacks. So if John Groats isn't the northernmost point, why is it so popular? It is a tiny village. There's not a lot there to do, but it is popular with tourists because it is the most distant point on the mainland from Land's End in Cornwall, which is 876 miles to the southwest. So this little area we went to is Duncansby Head, and you'll go towards the Duncansby Head lighthouse. It is the most northeasterly part of both the Scottish and the British mainlands. It's slightly northeast of John Groats, and it lies about 20 kilometers southeast of Dunnet Head. And we are going to take you to Dunnet Head next, because that is the northernmost point of both the Scottish and the British mainlands. We were slightly put off by the midges. It was a super midgy day. But the next morning we woke up and we had actually traveled all the way across the top and down over to Thurso the next day, which is, if you have Wick on this side of Scotland, Thurso's on this side of Scotland, and you've got John Groats and Dunnet Head up at the top. So we were in Thurso and it was like, do we want to go back to John Groats and try and get better footage? Because we really did feel like we missed a little bit.
And we did.
We went to Dunnet Head, and Dunnet Head is actually, if you take like a ruler, it is actually farther north than John Groats. So Dunnet Head is the true far north of the United Kingdom.
But don't tell the people in John Groats.
I know, but don't let John Groats know that they've been outdone by Dunnet Head. But same thing, cliffs, lighthouse, that was terrific. Okay. This single track road will take you up to Dunnet Head, where you'll find the Dunnet Head Lighthouse, the cliffs, and on a good day, beautiful picnic areas. There's a small parking lot just at the end of the road before you get to the lighthouse, with pathways going down to the cliffs and the house itself. This is wild Scotland. There are no fences along these cliffs, so you do really need to mind your step, mind where you're walking, and ensure that you aren't getting out onto shaky ground, because it's a long way down and that would not be a soft landing. We are at Dunnet Head, which is the northernmost part of the continental UK. And we're out on the cliffs. There are signs telling you not to get out on the cliffs, so we're not going to stay forever. We've got a beautiful day and we really are on solid rock. Bird watching from the cliffs is a popular activity. Out on Dunnet Head are lakes that are stocked with trout for fishing, but it is by permit only. Dunnet Head Lighthouse sits atop the 300-foot cliffs of Easter Head. It is still active, though it is no longer manned. It was built in the 1800s by Robert Stevenson, who is the grandfather of Robert Louis Stevenson. It was automated in 1989 and the keepers were withdrawn. So now it is still functioning, but just people aren't living there. There are some fortifications around the lighthouse that had been used during World War II and the Cold War as radio stations. Thanks for joining us from the very top of Scotland. We will see you in Thurso and Melvick next.
I think we'll be also talking about our trip beyond that to the towns of... We stopped at a point closer, got some great footage, and then drove back and got some great footage.
But we
had 2
didn't.
stops. Yeah, we did.
No,
We had 2 stops.
but one of them wasn't